Our project details and explains how invasive species are a problem in America and the world, and more specifically, Pennsylvania and here at Robbins Park.
A description of the problem of invasive species includes that invasive species grow quickly and aggressively, displacing other native plant species. People introduce invasive species to a region far from their native habitat, either accidentally or on purpose. And invasive species are often growing in an area where they are not exposed to the natural predators and diseases of their native habitat. The predators and diseases in the area that they are invading may not even affect them.
Invasive species have a local connection here in Upper Dublin and in Robbins Park. They can play a role in damaging the local ecosystems in places such as here at Robbins Park. One of the most common invasive species that takes its toll in Robbins Park is Asian bittersweet vine.
The causes of the problem include people traveling to different areas of the country unintentionally, spreading the invasive species to areas where they're not their natural habitat. Also, animals can unintentionally spread invasive species. Preventing these invasive species from spreading in the first place is the best solution to the problem when instead of trying to fix it after it already happens.
Invasive species have many adverse effects on the planet. First, they kill native species by taking over and stealing resources. Because there are no native predators and diseases, the invasive species are able to thrive and reduce biodiversity by killing all the native species.
If the problem in invasive species is not resolved, native species will become extinct and biodiversity will decrease greatly. Let's go find some examples!
English ivy is an evergreen climbing vine with waxy, dark green leaves and conspicuous white veins. It attaches to surfaces by aerial rootlets. In sufficient light, terminal green clusters of yellow-green flowers are produced in the fall. The black-purple fruits persist through the winter if not eaten by wildlife. It was probably first introduced into the United States by early European settlers for ornamental purposes. Not only does it reside in Pennsylvania, but also throughout the country. It continues to be a popular ground cover and vine due to its fast-growing, evergreen, pest-free, and cold-hardy nature. Both a climbing vine and a ground cover, English ivy impacts all structural levels of ecosystems. As it climbs trees in search of light, it kills branches by covering leaves and preventing photosynthesis. As you can imagine, this would be a problem. The invasive vine infests woodlands, forest edges, fields, hedgerows, and coastal areas. However, it does not grow well in extremely wet locations. It tolerates a wide range of soil pH but prefers slightly acidic soils. Therefore, it can spread easily and can cover almost anywhere.
Wild chervil is a biennial or short-lived perennial plant in the carrot family. It grows 3 to 4 feet on average, but sometimes grows over 6 feet. Stems are hollow, branched, and hairy. Fern-like leaves are nearly hairless and compound. Leaves form a basal rosette the first year. White flowers with 5 petals are produced in umbrella-like clusters that bloom from late May to early July during the plant's second year. Each flower produces 2 joined, shiny seed pods that turn from green to brown. It is originally from Europe and may have been introduced into North America as part of a wildflower seed mix. It was first noted in Massachusetts in 1919. Wild chervil can be found in most New England states through the mid-Atlantic, west of the Great Lakes states, and also in the Pacific Northwest. This plant can be found in open woods, roadsides, pastures, and fields, as well as disturbed sites. It prefers rich, moist soil. Wild chervil spreads both by seed, moved by birds, human activity, vehicles, and water, and lateral budding at the top of the roots. The roots are thick, tuberous, and aggressive, spreading rapidly. The taproot can extend over 6 feet deep. Wild chervil competes with other native plants for light, water, and nutrients. It can shade out surrounding vegetation. It is also a host for a virus that infects carrots, parsnips, and celery.
Bull thistle. Thought to have been introduced to eastern North America during colonial times and western North America during the late 1800s. This plant is native to Europe, western Asia, and northern Africa. It can now be found on every continent except Antarctica, and it is present in all 50 states in the US, although it is not as common in the southern states as it is in the north. Stems grow up to 7 feet tall and have lance-shaped, hairy leaves that are 3 to 12 inches long. There are lobes on each leaf, and they are tipped with stout spines. Flower heads are purple and 1 to 2 inches across. They appear from June to September. This plant has the ability to become established in a wide variety of areas, especially ones that have been disturbed like clear-cuts, riparian areas, and pastures. Bull thistle reproduces and spreads exclusively by seed. Plants produce 100 to 300 seeds per flower head, with up to 400 flower heads per plant. Seeds exhibit features that are suited for wind dispersal. Roughly 90% of seeds land within a distance of 1.5 times the height of the parent plant. However, up to 10% of the seeds produced do travel over 80 feet. Bull thistle has the potential to form dense thickets that displace and prevent native vegetation from establishing. The spiny features of the plant also make it unpalatable to wildlife and livestock, reducing forage land available.
At a maximum height of 30 to 40 feet, golden bamboo towers over most other grasses. The hollow stems are initially green, turning yellow when exposed to sunlight. The evergreen leaves may be rough or smooth. Golden bamboo flowers infrequently, perhaps every 7 to 12 years. Golden bamboo was introduced to the United States in 1882, specifically in Alabama. Property owners commonly turn to this aggressive plant when needing a visual screen or noise barrier in their yards. It is readily available from commercial nurseries. Golden bamboo is native to southeast China. Unfortunately, it can now also be found throughout the mid-Atlantic and southeastern regions of the United States. Golden bamboo thrives in full sun, but will grow well in sparsely wooded secondary forests. The most vigorous growth occurs in moist, deep, loamy soils where the bamboo spreads rapidly. Golden bamboo will still flourish in less than ideal habitats, although it is at a diminished rate. Golden bamboo spreads predominantly through vegetative growth. It is a fast-growing species and expands quickly by underground rhizomes. Despite containment efforts, it will often find its way out of confinement to infest nearby areas. Due to the thick, tall nature of the colonies it produces, golden bamboo virtually eliminates all understory plants that stand in its way. In effect, it leaves little appropriate habitat for wildlife, sharply decreasing biodiversity. Once established in an area, it is quite difficult to remove.
Oriental bittersweet, also known as Asiatic bittersweet, was introduced from China into the US around 1860 as an ornamental. This vine is able to girdle and kill trees to break their branches off from the weight of the vines. When it grows into the canopy, it can shade out natives. Oriental bittersweet has also been shown to hybridize with the American bittersweet, leading to a loss of genetic identity. Oriental bittersweet is a deciduous, climbing, woody vine that can grow up to 60 feet in length. Vines can grow up to 4 inches in diameter. The alternate elliptical leaves are light green in color, finely toothed, and 2 to 5 inches in length. Fruits are round and yellow, spreading to reveal bright red berries through the fall and winter months. Birds and other wildlife readily consume the large number of berries, spreading seeds far and wide. Humans also spread the seed through the use of bittersweet vines and berries for craft projects. The plants also spread vegetatively through rhizomes and root suckers.
As you can see right here, we have one of the major invasive species here in Robbins Park, the Asian bittersweet vine, and you can see it's taking its hold right here on this tree and being invasive as it does.
Once invasive species have taken over, there are very few solutions to fix the problem. Because of this, prevention is the best method. One method of prevention is protection of native species and the soil. Also, avoiding excessive fertilizer use, as high nitrogen levels can sometimes give an advantage to invasive species.
Other ways to prevent invasive species from taking over include managing land over time to make sure that it does not give an advantage to any invasive species. You could also check for invasive species periodically over time to kill them in their infancy. And lastly, you could find invasive species and replace them with native species, removing the invasive species while their density is still low to make sure that the problem doesn't get out of control.
It's going down. I'm yelling timber.